Hello, Just to Film here. Sorry for the absence the past couple days because, well, I've been under the weather. Finally feeling a little bit better, so I'm like, shoot, I've been wanting to talk about Blitz on this channel, which was the last film I saw before I got under the weather. Thankfully, my last film of NYFF, though I still got to see one more movie this week that I'm super excited for in a festival. Regardless, for Blitz, this is the latest film from one of my favorite writer and directors, Steve Mcqueen. He's done so many movies that are like my favorites of all time. Shame, 12 Years a Slave. This one is set during World War II in London during the London bombings, the Blitz as it's called, which I didn't know really anything about. So learning about this through this film, I think this film is very informative, but it does come off like a very personal story where we have a young black kid in London at a time where there is, much more predominantly white people there. So you actually get some very interesting observations of race through the lens of a younger kid. And that young kid is actually a pretty good actor. Child performances could make or break movies for me. And I think this child, Elliot Heffernan, hopefully I said the name right, did fantastic. I thought he was great throughout the movie. Didn't have any problems with his performance. The main supporting performance is by Saoirise Ronan, who is also pretty fantastic. I will say Harris Dickinson, which I remember from Iron Claw and Scrapper, liked him in those films a lot. I thought didn't really stand out here, and I almost thought his character was a bit underused. Now, this film is, I think, the first Steve McQueen film, unless one of the small axes were this rating, and maybe there were, I think Alex Wheatle might have been. It's PG-13, which I was not expecting this to be PG-13. That does not mean it doesn't hold back on disturbing moments. No joke, there is a disturbing moment in the first act of this movie that made me go, oh my gosh. It was one of the most disturbing moments I've seen in a film this year. I was honestly shocked by it. It was almost to the point where I was like, did that really happen? I hope that doesn't mean that I didn't do a good job of showing what happened, and I don't think it's that. It was more of just taken back and just by what happened on screen. So fantastic job there, because those disturbing moments don't feel like they're just meant to shock, but really add to the dire situation that this film is exploring. And I think this is also a great film for its supporting characters, because there's a lot of different supporting characters that we meet along the way. And each of these little segments are pretty memorable, but it doesn't feel like they're distracting from the overall theme or the overall story. It doesn't feel like, oh, this is just kind of like an episodic thing that was turned into a movie. No, it feels like a genuine journey, and I was invested the whole way through. I will say, like with most Steve McQueen movies, if not all of them, the direction is so beautiful. Perhaps not on the level of the wonders of those first four movies I love so much from Steve McQueen. Like, each of those have a distinct wonder where I'm like, that's the wonder that I freaking adore of this movie. There isn't really one where I'm like, whoa, that was just like the coolest thing ever. But there is some very good wonders and long takes in this film. So I was very happy to see that. Also, like a lot of his other movies, fantastic score. This was a Hans Zimmer score, and I thought it was absolutely lovely. One of my favorite scores of the year. A great sound design as well. Now, the problem with this movie, I would say, really comes with the third act. There's one moment where I was kind of like, how did that character get out of that situation? Wait, what? And I feel like they cut a little bit too early on that situation. And I will say the end of the movie, I was like, geez, that wrapped up kind of quicker than I hoped. It wasn't a huge drop-off or anything like that. And if I had to do another nitpick, there is a child performance that's on screen for maybe like one or two scenes, like two scenes technically. And I felt like that was kind of a weak child performance. And I was so hoping the film wouldn't turn into a journey with that character. And thank the Lord it did not. So yeah, with all things considered, I'd say this is like a low 8. Not my favorite of Steve McQueen's filmography. I will say it's on the lower echelon of that. But this dude is one of the best directors out there. One of the best film writers out there. So it's kind of expected that, okay, not every one of his will be on, say, the top 3 of his films. I mean, Shame is a 10 out of 10 for me. Like, 12 Years a Slave is a strong 9. It makes sense. I will say, I think this is a better film than Widows, but I do think Widows has individual beats that I like a little bit more. But then again, this one has great scenes, as I stated before. So I will say it's closer to a 7 than a 9. It's a low 8. But yeah, I recommend Blitz. It'll be on Apple TV Plus soon enough. Actually seems like from other critics and stuff like that, this isn't getting as much praise as I thought. But yeah, I genuinely enjoyed this. So while that was it for my New York Film Fest watches, there's still some films I didn't review here and there from the festival, so we'll catch up on that. Subscribe here for more film reviews of some unreleased films to the general public, because I've been doing Film Fest galore. I'll see you later. Peace out.